I know that you've all been prepared for this, but I thought I'd just remind you just the same.
Can you handle that, Blondie?
Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Because pure evil.
I want to buy some radio ad time.
All right, folks. Thanks if you're still with us. All right, we're going through the Alien franchise, 6 movies, 1 episode. We've already talked about Alien and Aliens in the first part of the show, and now we're going to focus on the Dave Fincher directed Alien 3 for a bit, and then we're going to Alien Resurrection, that fucking insane movie. So
yeah, it's going to be unlike 1 and 2, which is like 1 going
was a love fest
into 2. Oh, it was a love fest.
Yeah,
but also there was a cohesion.
Yeah,
3 and 4 is but it's
part 3 is not Dave Fincher's fault though. Massive studio
like
interference.
Doing, like, 2 genres that have nothing to do with each other. I feel like I'm doing an X-Men film followed by a Candyman. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like.
But what did you make of the change in scene? Like a change, like so pretty much.
I didn't know about this. I think you're going to talk about how the alien.
No, I want to talk about the prison colony.
The prison colony.
Yeah. What did you think of? I can't remember the name of the prison colony.
Secula. I can't remember the name of the shit, but it doesn't matter. The film is the film. The concept was, for me, when I look back on it, the concept was that they tried to revisit the first one, but make it harder. That was as simple as it was. You've gone back to Aliens 1.
Yeah.
Alien, sorry. And you are,
you
after taking all of the weapons completely away.
Yeah.
As in, the guys have scissors, crowbars.
We work on the honor system here.
Yeah, we work. Yeah, that's it. And
That's
they're violent
the
criminals, but they have.
See, Charles Dance. Sorry for cutting across it, but he popped in my head. Fucking Tywin Lannister is the doctor, the medical officer.
Is he?
Yeah.
Fuck me, I didn't spot that.
Yeah, that's Charles Dance from Game of Thrones. That amazing 7-season show.
Yeah. Good Joe. Respect the Joe. I got love for the Joe.
But so like what did you think of as you said, it's just like a harder version of part 1, because like, so the thing is, when you do a trilogy, the hard formula is part 1 was 1 introduced so you get away with it. Part 2 goes bigger because it has to. What do you do?
Whole lot in New York. Yeah, even in smaller, like even in fun films, there's the whole thing that you have to go bigger. It just, I don't know.
Go big or go home, like, you know what I mean.
Go big or go home is definitely the way. But this one, I get. No, I get it. Like, look, on the face, before we get into execution.
Yeah.
On the face of it, you could say.
In terms of execution, though, there's a lot of studio interference in this. It's not Dave Fincher's fault.
You know what? I'm not going to lie and say that I did my homework and I watched the goddamn films. Yeah. You are an even bigger buff than I am.
A nerd.
Yeah, so I know, like, with things like Spider-Man 3 and stuff, it's famous, the studio interference and stuff. But I thought they tried to go with Alien 1, as in, how dangerous would one of these aliens be if you were working in, like, pre-gun era? You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, if you can make a piece of metal, you can make it sharp, you can give it an edge, you can, again, like an axe, I think, was the most serious weapon I see before the end, where there's actual people show up with guns. Yeah. But
and let's just move on to Alien Resurrection.
yeah. But like a guy with an axe, Dylan.
Dylan.
What was the name of the black bald gentleman?
Oh, sorry, let me just scroll down the cheat sheet there. Dylan.
Cheat sheet, yeah.
Yeah,
did I do it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know that's not a big deal to anyone.
Well, he's
that's
terrible with names. No, it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm terrible with names. That's a 10 points for me.
Yeah, Charles Dance was Clemens, and I don't know.
But obviously she. Sorry, I'm gonna. Well, how did she end up on this ship?
So pretty much, right? It's not a ship, right? It's a prison colony. And
it's in space. It is a.
No. The funny thing about this is, right? Me and Lorraine had this exact same conversation either yesterday, I think it was. Pretty much what happens is terrible writing. They decide to kill off Hicks and Nude, who are the two remaining.
Which was brutally bad decision.
Yeah, exactly, because it was so close to the first one. Maybe Newt might have aged out the role, but you could have killed her and kept Hicks at the very least. Michael Biehn was still active, like, and he still is, like.
I suppose killing Newt would have meant some sense, in the sense that a girl as young as she was, you can't, like, if in 5 years' time she looks 5 years older. There's no. she would grow up so much. So that makes some sense.
Unless,
as much as I loved her,
you could have Newt waking up, and the reason they survive is because she crash lands them, and that's how you age her. She's been awake for the 5 years.
That's not her. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's a very easy thing to do. She woke up. She had a problem with her hyper chamber, whatever,
which they touched on.
She could have woken up 5 years previous. They think they've crash land to wake up and to see that Newt is much older. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
could have done that. Yeah.
So that's an easy enough plot device, and like. And what else they could have done is, sorry.
Would have been interesting as well, because she's such a young girl. It would have been like, you could have touched on what the 5, 6, whatever years was to her.
Well, she is. Did you not know this about Newt? Right, she is the hide and go seek champion of LV426. Did you know about that?
No,
like that little girl fucking survived with no guns or training.
Yeah, longer than that.
Yeah,
I remember, like, you had to wait like such an amount of hours. We never. You know what? I'm going to apologize for the last podcast, people. We never said game over, man. Game over, and it's in our own fucking intro.
Dude, I would have said it right at the end of the show. It's what I was leaving for.
Seriously?
Yeah, come on, guy.
Cut that out, Carl. I didn't know he was playing 3-dimensional chess.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, you know what I'm saying.
But fucking But see, like I lived with a cousin of mine. He was older than me, and he was working in Port. He's from a different county, so he was staying with us for a while. But I remember he was the one who told me about this film, and he got it on cassette tape, and we watched it in at home. And he was just saying that, look, I'll be honest with you, bar the one scene where a guy says, "But it's not a great film." Do you remember the "but" moment? Well, it's where one of the flares accidentally drops when they're covering everything in tar. And the guy goes, "But."
Yeah.
But he goes, but he said it's not a great film, but keep an open mind. He goes, so I just remember him saying that to me, and I was only 10, 11, 12. But I watched it, but I'd seen the first two, so probably 13. I'd seen the first two, and I remember just thinking, yeah, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And after rewatching it, I didn't hate it. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, and I would have. I'm 38 years of age, as I already touched upon, and I would have got to this age, and if you would say an Alien 3, I would have gone, oh God, fucking Alien 3, man.
Do you have a birthday recently?
May, yeah.
Is it? Did I tell you I have a birthday?
No.
Did not?
No.
Sure. Not even on Facebook. I think I said on Facebook, now that I remember.
Okay, you know what? I take it all back. He celebrated my birthday in historical fashion.
Yeah.
But
did we recording during that time?
Yeah, we recorded on my birthday.
Did we?
Yeah. And I didn't bring it up because I'm just humble like
what
that.
A loser.
Yeah.
We'll be recording my birthday. I'll be talking about the whole way through the
episode. I don't know. I was thinking about it on the day of my birthday. But I remember watching this film.
This is like how Alien 3 reminds me of the day I was born.
Aliens 3, Aliens 1 and 2 exist at this time. And you come to, I guess, again, going to a hypothetical, you come to me and I'm the guy who's going to fund your film. I'm just money bags. I don't. And you said, what if?
Fox, Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch. Okay, yeah, he never makes any bad decisions. Solid dude, nice dude.
Solid dude.
but you come to me and say, look, what if I kind of revisited the concept of the first one? As in, how dangerous would one alien be if you didn't have all the weapons that they had in the second one?
Yeah.
Because in the first one, at least they were armed.
Yeah.
But what if in the second one there were people that weren't trained at all? Yeah, violent criminals.
Yeah.
So capable of violence.
But even your allies are volatile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they have no weapons. They have, literally just rudimentary things that you would find around to literally work, do the work that was done on. Sorry. So if it's not a ship, what was it?
No. So pretty much, she crash lands. They find her. It's a prison colony, and what happened was there used to be thousands of prisoners there, and the people that ran that prison, they abandoned the colony. But certain amount of these prisoners that converted to this zealot kind of religion they're all members of, they wanted to stay there. So they'd said, "We'll let you be custodians, and we'll let you to maintain the place, and we're going to leave 2 people to oversee it, 85 and the other guy." And pretty much
good old 85.
Good old 85. Don't call me that. But so that's pretty much what it was. Like, she crash landed just happenstance on this planet. They found her wreck, and they bring her in. And in Charles Dance, who I think is a creepy motherfucker, this Clemens, and like he comes across so creepy in this.
I thought he was one of these.
How's he her love interest? Because I was
Yeah.
like, we're going to give her a love interest. So I assume you're bringing Hicks back. No, we're going to kill Hicks in his cryo tube. We're not going to bring him back. We're going to have this creepy motherfucker.
As I said, like off camera, I went to a horror-ton in Dublin, and Bean,
Michael Bean.
He was there, and he was saying, that they wanted to use again. They didn't want him in the film, so he said, "Can we use your image?" Obviously he'd get like a flat fee for that.
Yeah.
And and then we cremate you, or like Ripley can have closure or what have you. And he said, "Can you fuck?" Because he wasn't going to be in the film. No, he just felt cheated on it. And he was absolutely right. And I remember talking to him. He wasn't a dick about it. He's an absolute gent.
Yeah.
He wasn't a dick about it whatsoever.
And he's Terminator 1 and Aliens under his belt at this stage.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like,
And he survived. I mean, he survived when
Yeah.
like a lot of people died in the first film.
she was the only one
Second
survived.
film, everyone got wiped the fuck out. There was an entire team of Marines.
A whole colony.
colony.
Yeah. I went... Your filter, do you have more?
No, I don't see them.
This fucking guy.
But I thought the fact that they didn't use them, I thought was criminal. And I remember thinking that when I watched it first. And Newt was a kid. I don't know. Like I thought that was. I grew to like it as I got older. The Game of Thrones, where they'll actually kill off characters that you love, and then you get the feeling that no one's safe, and that does ultimately make a show more.
Yeah, but such weak writing.
But I wouldn't mind, maybe if you're going to do it, if you're going to have the balls to kill off the child, then kill off the child in the film.
Yeah.
Like not having her at all, was really pissed me off.
It just seemed like such a strange out, because you have survivors, and if you want to link the mythology from part 3 to part 2.
It was almost like, they didn't even really touch upon the history of it the way the second one did the first.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh yeah, no, bitch has seen some shit.
Yeah, no, I love...
And she's crazy.
Yeah, and I love that.
That's how they don't believe her. That's always a big thing.
Yeah, I love a scene like that where someone that is so in the right, but the truth they're telling is so unbelievable that everybody mocks them nearly, like. And
the truth of the matter is that is kind of how real life goes.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me ghost stories and I don't believe them.
Yeah, I love that story or the line Rorschach says, "Sounds totally unbelievable. It's probably true," or some shit like that. Like probably butchered it. But so like she crash lands. Then they find her, to bring her in to start doing all these medical examinations with her, and at the same time, I think we see acid burns on her shuttle, her like lifeboat or whatever she was on from the Sulaco, and do you want me to strike? But we see acid burn, so they kind of alluded to another stowaway, because Xenomorphs be stowaway in like a motherfucker.
Like unbelievable. We're in the third film here, folks. Okay,
They stowed away three times.
They stowed away 3 times. 3 times. In fact, this one has a double stowaway.
Yeah,
because
she killed the queen
in
in
what I
part
watched
2.
a dog, and in what he's watched a
No, do you know? And she
bison?
kills buffalo. But no, do you remember in part 2 she kills the queen? So a double stowaway that must have happened for another alien.
So there must have been like a couple of stowaways.
Yeah, at the end of part
Just
2,
like,
and she didn't notice one of them somehow.
Just aliens going, what's going on there? I don't know, a lot of fighting. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna hide here.
Xenomorphs is like just chilling.
Yeah, I'm just gonna chill out here.
She killed the queen.
But man, it was fucking at that point. I remember again. I never had this thought before, and I've seen all of the first 3 films. I've seen the third one maybe twice, and now 3 times, and the other 2 a bunch of times. But I never got the stowaway. It's watching them all together.
Yeah,
where you just see these
It's the
patterns.
best way to watch a franchise.
Of course, of course. But I'll be honest, I don't often do that. But I've seen a film a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I might get back around to it for some reason. Or
I
might
love
show
doing
up.
it though. Yeah, I love doing
But
it.
doing this, I was just like, God damn it! Just like there is a stowaway. Anyway, before we all go into hypergenics, should we get the stowaway? That's the way I would do it.
But it's something you touched on earlier, because I watched, as we were saying, because I watched the special edition versions of these when you watch the theatrical, and the xenomorph, for some reason they decide, like, so there's that whole scene where Hicks and Newt are being jettisoned into space. And at the running parallel to that is the first appearance of the xenomorph in this movie. In the version you've seen, which is the one I seen when I was a kid, the xenomorph, the face hugger attacks a dog, and the xenomorph chest bursts from a dog. Like, it looks like a Rottweiler or an Alsatian or something like that.
It falls on its side. And
And in the scene I seen was 2 of the prisoners they find a buffalo that's after dying. He said it's just caved over, only 8 years old in its prime or whatever. And they talk about, oh, we'll have that for dinner later, and we throw in the stew. And they leave the buffalo there, and you get this fucking. So when it bursts out of the dog, is the chest burster normal size, small?
Yeah, normal size, small.
But in this one, it's gigantic. It's nearly a fully grown xenomorph burst out of the buffalo. This is the
Because
first
it's
time.
buffalo, probably.
Well, I've never seen that before, though.
Some sport we saw, because we've seen later in like Alien versus Predator, it had a predator hybrid kind of aspect to it, and a buffalo, of course, is completely different to a human, as is a dog.
Exactly.
It doesn't seem to actually have any.
I don't know. It seemed more canine from the version, like the way it plays out, even. So I don't understand.
I suppose what I'm picturing in my head is just an alien.
Because
xenomorph.
but if you look at it though, like the xenomorph in Aliens and Alien are more bipedal, whereas the xenomorph in Alien 3 is more quadrupedal.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
No, that's fair.
And it's smaller as well.
Yeah,
because
it was fast as fuck.
Exactly, like, you know what I mean. So like,
fair point. No, fair point.
Do you remember
I can see.
Yeah, do you remember something I touched on in the first section was like, does the xenomorph have any one particular form, or is it just dependent on the host?
Has to depend. Well, I mean, I'm thinking tensile tail, the tongue and stuff like that is inevitably inherited from the queen.
Yeah.
But obviously, you would take on characteristics given to it by its host.
Yeah.
So yes and no. You know what I mean? Like,
so you're saying
no, but
like,
there's some things that seem locked in.
But does a queen not have to chest burst, which is what we find out in Alien 3? So does the shape of the queen being humanoid just mean that it's popped out of a humanoid creature, and that the queen's even form?
That's a mindfucky thing to say.
You know what I mean? Like, because the only queens.
No, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah.
The only queens we've seen have had human hosts.
It's not born from love like every human being. That's
you know what I mean? And like, how does they dictate what pod is a queen? What creates a queen xenomorph in terms of a drone or whatever? If you want to use insect terms, you know what I mean? Like, so what is the difference? Like, these are things that I like. I've seen these movies too much. I think when I look at a movie like that, it's like, yeah, what is the difference? What makes a queen? Like, and why does the queen look like a queen? Like, is the queen only because looks that way because it chest bursts from a humanoid, or is that what the queen has a set shape and the other xenomorphs look similar to the queen, but it's the host dependent? That they will always look like a xenomorph, as in black skin or whatever, even though it changes when you see Prometheus and Alien Covenant. But do they always have this, like, because even if the more I think about it later on, they don't have the what's the word we used earlier for the tongue?
It was kind of like we didn't really have a good word for it, I suppose. Extractable kind of mouth inside of the
retractable. Yeah, it's like I don't know, like
because we said the tail is a prehensile tail. But but the tongue.
So it's like what's the word where you shoot without, like, a thrusting? I don't know. But it's like a mouth tongue.
But a massive amount of part. We've seen it cut through helmets, and we've seen it cut through. Cut through people, and we've seen it cut through like windows and shit like that. Extreme amount of power, like hundreds and if not thousands of pounds of pressure. That's able to actually just extract the tongue with.
No, I just mean, like, what do you think sets the form that the xenomorph takes? It'll make a long question short.
I suppose like it would come to make it simple in terms you can understand. It comes down to two parents. So whatever the parent is. Now I do think that any humanoid parent would, from our eyes, be the exact same type of alien because they're simply born from a human, male, female, fine, no difference. But we'll take on perhaps some, because you're right, this one was basically entirely bipedal, and I remember thinking it's faster. It was so fast.
And not to jump too far ahead, but the Prometheus ones and stuff look different because their hosts are different.
Exactly, but also they're in their earlier stages of evolution.
Protomorph and xenomorph.
Because even the queen was in its earlier stages of metamorphosis, whatever, so it in fact didn't really exist.
Because this movie, like, I know in terms of quality it lacks in comparison to part 1 and 2, but when you get 10 out of 10 movies, the only way is down. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's a victim of its own.
I wouldn't call it
success,
even a giant cash grab. I think Fincher tried to make the best movie he could. I just think he came up short.
It's not even like he came up short. He was hamstrung. He was a music director before this. It was his first feature, and like he had to give in to a lot of studio interference, and said that it set his tone as a director.
Give me one big example.
In this movie, like, I just think like a lot of the I think the way the narrative was told, I actually don't know a shit ton of the details, but like he just said that there's a lot of studio interference and how the narrative was told. And if you look at the director's cut, like, I don't know, like there's very little difference. So I don't know, because in the edition I have, something I said to you off air was all the directors introduced their movie. Even the French dude came back and introduced part 4, and he was like, I didn't think this needed a director's cut. I was pretty happy with the movie. And I'm like, really, dude?
Yeah.
Really? They give you an option to make it better? Like, come on, but like, I just think Dave Fincher is what I was going to say, was the only one that didn't introduce his movie. So it's still, there's some, chagrin or whatever there between him and the studio, Fox, whatever.
But of course, because it's always going to be like, studio interference and stuff. And Sam Raimi ended up in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
That was when the name that came up was directed by Sam Raimi. And for me, when I walked away from that, absolutely heartbroken, thinking that was a pile of shite. It was. It was Sam Raimi, who I to this day love.
You're like, can't believe Sam, what you do me so wrong.
But then, like he did.
And you find out.
You find out, but at the same time, especially now in the age where we live in, where like, you just go on YouTube and they break down films in such a way they can tell you that, at this point this actor wanted this and this actor wanted this and this also to change the script here and to change the script. We know this shit now, but it's still your name. Yeah. Because it's, it's, and if you're a screenplay, it's still your fucking screenplay. Yeah. But, so your name is unfortunately sullied. Yeah.
What do you make of the difference in this? We see that, like, so Ripley's like nauseated or whatever the whole way through, she's not feeling well, and at the same time you have the xenomorph that's attacking the prisoners and killing them, and they were trying to lure it into this fucking big toxic waste vault and shit.
Molten lead or something.
No, this is before that. Because they lured into pretty much the crazy dude. 2 guys go missing. They think the crazy dude's killed him, and then they realise that he's telling the truth. And then they lure the xenomorph into this toxic waste safe, like a big vault that was supposed to be filled up, but they never did. They trap it in there. The crazy dude who's become obsessed with this dragon, he calls it. Later on,
that's right, he was calling it.
Yeah, dragon. Exactly. And your man, he manipulates a guy into freeing him. Then he knocks that dude out, and then he goes, kills the guard, lets out the xenomorph because he's obsessed with it, and the xenomorph obviously kills him straight away. And that's how the xenomorph gets back out for the last part of the movie and shit. Like, and then they come up with the idea later on is Ripley figures out that she's infected because they were in a scan on her.
And kills the Game of Thrones guy then, mustn't it?
Oh, Clemens, he gets killed,
Yeah, and then,
after she bangs him, after he bangs her. But anyway, like equal rights,
And
they bang each other.
They bang each other.
# equal banging.
Equal banging. But then there is, and that is a great scene, I always thought, because Sigourney Weaver delivers it so well. She has just that absolute desperation because it's like I've fought these things, I've run from these things, and now it doesn't take anything from her that she's just scared. Yeah. As in, it's 1 inch from your head. Yeah. There's nobody that's ever lived on this earth that could take one in a straight fight.
Are you talking about that scene?
Yes.
Where the xenomorph goes right up to her?
It goes right up to her, and then it goes, and it doesn't even appear to really have eyes or a nose, but it still goes. Yeah. And it sticks out the tongue, and she's just freaking, and then she realizes she's pregnant. Yeah. She's pregnant with a xenomorph. With not just that, but with a queen.
A queen, and that means it won't harm her.
Yes, so she wants Dylan to kill her, and I always thought that was great because she hated. It always just showed like how much she wanted him destroyed. Yeah, and as in like, there's one in me, then destroy me.
Yeah, because I think she's
that driven. Like,
is it in this one where she says it's been so long since you've been in my life? I don't remember a time before. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that kind of thing.
And especially because there's always, I remember Demolition Man even touching upon it when he got. But again, stasis, stasis, their form of it. Yeah. And they were saying, people don't dream. He's at dinner and people goes, no, people don't dream when they're in the stasis. And he goes, like, how the fuck? He said, how the fuck? How do you tell me that? I'm telling you, you're wrong. So even if like your time slows down 1,000 to 1,000 or 10,000, if you're in there for decades after decades, there's something there. Like you wake up with probably a sense that it's been so long. Yeah, how do you feel old?
How do you think she got infected?
Oh God, it's
bad writing.
Bad writings. Yeah. Stowaways.
Do you think like by the?
And here's the thing: the eggs never stow.
Yeah.
That's not how the eggs work.
Face hugger.
Face huggers pop from the eggs when it's time. Yeah. And other than that, they wait. And if they have to wait 30 years, they wait 30 years. Hundreds of years. They're in complete and total stasis. Obviously, there's something about the egg that can obviously read some sort of bio.
In Alien 1, they alluded to like some sort of like self-contained atmosphere
Yeah,
And
and you being the intruder, it alerts
Yeah.
in some sort of way.
Yeah, or as Billy Crudup does, he partly fist fucking finger bangs.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you're kind of shady. Let me trust you about stroking this egg over here. You
Yeah.
fucking idiot.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think I'd probably have a decent chance of surviving this, only because, like, I'd be like, are you going down to look at one of those eggs? Yeah, shot in the back of the head.
Same as like, oh yeah,
shot in the back of the head.
Yeah, it's like,
oh my god, you're not going to believe it. He just shot himself in the back of the head.
Yeah, he shows him like a room of like dead things. He's like, let's go in this basement. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And as soon as he goes around the corner, I'm like, shot in the back of the head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's in here might be worth money. What's in here might be worth being dead.
Yeah. But so like, because we kind of touched on it, like, and we were actually running through this nicely. The big climax of Alien 3 is like, did we already talk about the differences in
the failure? But do you remember when we were trying to? Like,
did we already talk about the differences in the dog and the buffalo and stuff like that? We already did, didn't we?
Yeah.
But like the big run through is she finds out that the xenomorph that's running around this prison colony killing people is not going to attack her, so they're going to use her as live bait to bring it into this place that was like a big molten steel works or some shit like that. Yeah,
that was dry at the time, but there was a huge potential of
exactly. Because I think they were just kind of keeping it alive, but it wasn't active or some shit.
But it's one of these things. It's almost like a really futuristic version of a prison gang. Yeah, as in they were given a function.
Yeah, they're custodians.
Process metal or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so what you make of like the run through was like to use her as live bait, and we get that whole big sacrifice scene, and we see the return. We see
a few of those, but you know, like where the guys are trying to close down the chambers that they don't want the alien to use because they need it to go down a certain track, so they need to alert it and then run like a motherfucker. That was good. Yeah, I mean, we've shot in this film a bit, but credit where it's due. Yeah, where they're just running because and obviously it's kind of an Evil Dead thing. They're running from a camera.
When you watch them all together, Alien 3 suits part 1 and 2. It's just not as good. It's just, it kind of suits it. Like, I don't like the prison aspect, the prisoners.
I thought the guy, I did get it. I do get that you're watching the second one. You're kind of going, well, you know, the go big or go home. Well, I don't know how to go much bigger than this. Yeah. You know, I don't know.
So let's go back to our roots.
Yeah, let's go back to our roots. But let's make it like no flamethrowers or really high-powered velocity weapons. Yeah. Futuristic high-powered velocity weapons. Better than shit we have now. Let's like bring it down to basics, as in like you have to take on with like best of luck with your Frankenstein monster when you have pitchforks.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's cool. Yeah. When you think of it that way, it's kind of cool.
Kind of like Stone Age.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they had rudimentary weapons.
Yeah, the only thing they could really use was like fuel that they. Remember, your man killed himself.
And then the guy drops a flare because he gets taken out by an alien, and it falls, and the guy goes, "What?"
Yeah, it's even so low tech that remember they were going through the tunnels earlier on. They had to have candles. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they even have candles just to mark their way or whatever. And your man even goes back to light a candle. And I think that's when we seen the xenomorph pop up and kill a guy. Yeah, that's what. It's one of the first times, isn't it? Like, that's where he kills the two guys and they blame the crazy guy, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, and so what do you make of? Because like I want to run in from Alien 3 straight into Resurrection because Alien 3 ends with the bring back Lance Henriksen, who they say Bishop was modelled after, who was a
friendly face, as he described himself.
Are you? Yeah, because like if you'd have seen Aliens, dude, you know she was really suspicious of Bishop. Right up until the end, and then he died. So,
but even like and he's just trying to say, and we're going to extract that, and it was so like. It was so amazingly obvious that wasn't it. It wasn't like the conglomerate that have been trying to fuck her over for now about 70 years have said, no, we've flown into the depths of space to come here because we just think you deserve a chance. Yeah. We're just going to take that, destroy it, all gravy.
After she did with Burke as well. Like.
Yeah. And she's just like, I don't think you are. Yeah. I have to say, I did love when the alien does get the molten hot lead falls on it and it still jumps and it's trying to survive, but then it gets hit by the sprinklers. Yeah. And the sheer, of course, I was actually thinking, why did it explode? And I was thinking, it's because the steel that it was now covered in cooled super fast.
Super cooled, yeah.
It loses so many degrees of temperature fast.
Dr. Doom, remember in that shitty Fantastic Four movie?
Exactly. Yeah. Which shitty Fantastic? But I don't know what you're talking about.
A plethora of shitty Fantastic Four movies.
3 of them.
But yeah, so like, what did you think of this? Is the first time we don't see an alien being killed by jettison in the climax.
Yeah.
What did you think of the run through of killing the xenomorph with the molten steel and it explodes, and then we see? Remember, we were talking about the friendly phase. The rescue team comes in, because I think that's what you might have got mixed up where you thought it was in space, because they kept showing exterior shots of a ship.
Yes,
and
that's
that
where,
was actually
that is where I am.
Yeah, because Lorraine was
very like a Borg cube. It was
yeah, because Lorraine
huge.
was saying the same thing as well, and that was the rescue team coming to the prison colony,
Right.
Because 85 or his commander had sent out fucking what do you call it, Mayday signal.
Yeah.
Either that, or they were coming there anyway to collect Sigourney Weaver after she was found as a survivor because of her history with Addie's Hope and L462 and LV462. Or 426. Damn it!
Oh.
It's gone out of my head now. LV426. Yeah.
Disappointing.
It's too many beers. But like, so she does the sacrifice here. What did you make of that, and what did you think of like my major problem? My major problem with these scenes with the molten hot lava is they seem tiny. Like the sense of perspective seems completely
when she's
off.
falling in.
Yeah. How big is that thing?
Yeah, like we're talking 1 bajillion tons of lead.
Yeah, because is it like earlier on?
She just disappears into it. Yeah.
Do they jettison? They don't jettison Hicks and Newt. They drop them into the thing as well, don't they?
Them as well. Especially considering that there's been an infestation.
Yeah, and so like that really annoyed me. The sense of perspective of dropping the person into the molten hot lava, and I was like, they look way too small. Even back then, even to now, like that really fucking annoyed me. What do you think of her?
I see. The thing is, like, one or two things this movie did right. I like the fact that at the end again is that Sigourney didn't make it, and I liked when a film just like nobody's invincible. I like Arnie not surviving Terminator 2. Spoiler alert. Yeah. You know, if you haven't seen that movie, I don't know why you even have an internet connection. I worked that out in bass once, and then it just got too epic for me.
It was
just so fucking like.
While my bass gently weeps.
Yeah, it was.
But so like, do you think obviously they expected no more? This is the end of the franchise because you killing off.
Well, of course, it done its trilogy, and you killed the character. So at the time, there wasn't obviously.
Yeah.
They weren't leaning into it. But then, even though it was a poor third film, cash talks.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have so many Transformers films if they didn't.
Yeah.
So
my heard, which is kind of pertinent when we go into Resurrection, is before James Cameron cast Sigourney Weaver, recast her in Aliens, there was talks that she did, like, for a while, because I watched this back, I can't remember I heard it, but for a while she wasn't going to come back in Aliens, and he was going to rewrite the script and have Newt be the main character, maybe age her up a bit or something, because she wanted to have some sort of hybridization with the alien. Like there's some scene where she had sex with a xenomorph or some sort of sexual activity with a xenomorph. She bred with a xenomorph, and he was like, "Nah." That's stupid. And she was like, nah, no, I really she kind of pushed for it, and he was like, well, I'll go, and I've got two versions of the script here, Sigourney. I can do this movie one way or the other, or you're in it or you're not. And obviously, money talks, and she came back to the table, and eventually it was renegotiated, and they used the original version of Aliens with Sigourney Weaver in it. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this, I can't remember where I heard it, but the reason I mentioned this is, you think Sigourney Weaver, as far as I remember, this is true, maybe I'm going to say allegedly in case I'm wrong, but do you think she had more creative input in Alien Resurrection? Because we've seen the sacrifice play, it comes back, she's pregnated by the alien or whatever, and now in Alien Resurrection we see it's 200 years in the future, full hybridization, Ellen 8 or something, I think you called her earlier.
Yeah, she's Ripley 8.
Ripley 8, sorry, yeah. And we see this opening scene where she's got, see the way I segue there like a motherfucker. She open scene, we see her, she's been like interrogated, for lack of a better term. She's being examined on or something. She's keeping some of these memories from the clones.
She's almost even completely naked, and it just gives you the impression that she is literally just back.
Yeah.
Like she's just been brought back, and they want to know what she has to offer.
Yeah.
There was a lot this film got right, but what got wrong was so spectacular.
Egregious.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what got wrong was so fucking amazingly spectacularly bad. that it was hard to forgive.
Well, like the late 90s though, like there's very few.
There was, I see, it's when CGI the CGI we see now. I won't see. It wasn't. It was in its infancy in the early 90s, but at this stage, it started to get brave. Because the Matrix and stuff, like, you know.
I just want to say is hashtag fuck CGI, hashtag practical effects.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, like, I mean, on Movie Magic, where I shared on Twitter, you shared on Facebook, etc. And we talk about like bad special effects and something bad, and in the one
bad for the time.
Bad for time. But even not just that, you was 2011. You did the Thing prequel, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But you're just like, God, that film was made in 1982, and it looked better.
Yeah. It still looks better.
Yeah, it's just
40 years old next year.
It's just fucking phenomenal.
You know what I mean? And it ages so well.
Here's a few takeaways I want to say I have about Alien Resurrection. I enjoyed it more now that I'd seen. If I had seen it, I would have hated it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not seen it, I would have hated it. But after seeing it and kind of knowing, there was a lot of this which it almost had a Blade feel to me at times. You know what I mean? Like it was just set up.
It was really of that era or something about like a
like
Resident Evil Part 1 or something.
Yeah, it just felt like it was set up for the spectacular.
Yeah.
It just felt up, and it was. They had these like really cool like guns popping out of
Warwick Brown.
And,
that's Warwick Brown of CSI. The guy.
I know. I was surprised about that. But and it had like
what do you make of the cast? Like
the cast was cool. Like,
Alien, like that name is obviously it's ingrained. It really attracts top level people. Like I know Alien 3 probably lacked that a bit. There wasn't a lot of really standout superstars apart from Sigourney Weaver. Like Charles Dance now is a superstar, but only because of Game of Thrones. Maybe people are going to be like, "Oh no, Charles Dance did this, and ever." But like, apart from is he in?
I don't think he hit. Like, I know he was the bad guy in Last Action
Was he
Hero.
in Dark City as well? He's the guy with the hat.
Probably.
Is he?
He was famously a bad guy. I've seen him make some jokes.
But you know what I mean, though. Like, when you look at Alien 3, there's a lack of superstars. Like, and Sigourney Weaver kind of carried that movie. And if you look at Alien 1, Tom Skerritt was a huge name back then. And so was like Sigourney Weaver's kind of young or whatever come through. Look at Aliens, you got Michael Biehn, you got Bill Paxton, you got Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, you know what I mean? So who else would be in that? Like, they're probably the top three: Bill Paxton, Michael Biehn, and Sigourney Weaver.
That sounds right.
Yeah, no, and Aliens 3, we're saying, like, had a lack of that. But you look at fucking Alien Resurrection, it's a weak movie, but look at the cast.
Perlman.
Yeah, Ron Perlman,
Ryder.
Winona Ryder, Sigourney Weaver, you got Warwick Brown. I don't want to even know your real name. You can always be Warwick Brown to me, hashtag CSI.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But, you know what I mean? Like,
but no, also that creepy... God, he was
Brad Dourif is in it too. Child's Play, the voice of Chucky. Like,
that's what I was trying. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of.
Oh, is that what you said again? It was like
a diamond or something.
Sorry, I can't take it.
But he fucking. But see, this starts with like the biggest problem I have with this. The biggest problem I have with this is the ending. Second biggest problem I have with this is
Pete Postlethwaite was in Aliens 3. He's a big enough name.
They in this film they brought back Sigourney, but she was different.
Yeah.
In one way, she was kind of hypersexualized. Look, do you remember like the whole like when Winona Ryder hears her name, knows who she is, associates her with the aliens, and goes to kill her.
Yeah.
And she kind of gets up there, and she's almost like feeling her. And then the basketball scene, like Sigourney Weaver was sexy in this film, and they never really did that.
Yeah.
Like they never leaned into it.
Do you think it's because she's now in a sense a queen and she just wants to reproduce?
That's the thing. They are like she's Ripley-ate, as in she's Ripley's DNA mixed with the Queen's DNA, but mostly Ripley's DNA.
And this is 200 years in the future.
And it's 200 years in the future, and she's kind of like a hybrid.
I actually, sorry to cut across you, but I have a good theory behind this. I said it to Mrs. I think because we were wondering how they would have recovered her DNA and the xenomorph's DNA and stuff like that. I was thinking maybe the medical officer Clemens did exams on her, and he would have drawn blood. And if she would have
been pregnant with the Queen at the time,
exactly. So that's how they got the Queen DNA with hers. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Obviously, the technology wasn't there and won't be there for the longest time.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time, as we see later on in that room.
We see she's 8, but I'd imagine that the technology wasn't that old at that stage, and that they were running a series of trials.
Yeah,
because otherwise she probably would have been 58. Or something like that.
Yeah, when human clones so hard to do, like and they did so many failed experiments as well, as we see earlier on. So how long did it take to get?
But brought back to, like, again, when you've seen her doing the basketball thing, she's Ron Perlman, she's holding the ball behind his head and all this kind of stuff. And I thought they met her.
She's like Harlem Globetrotting him.
Yeah, they met her kind of sexy and cool and aloof, and that didn't really work for me in the sense that just Ripley was kind of she had one thing. She wanted to destroy these things because every time she'd been brought into contact with them, she realized what a dangerous weapon they were.
Killed everything she knew and everything she loved.
Also, everything she knew, everything she loved, and also they wanted to take it. There was companies. Now, in Alien Resurrection, it should be mentioned that it's the U.S. military. Yeah. Whaling, it's not Whaling anymore, it's just simply the U.S. military.
Whaling went out of business decades prior. That's what Brad Dourif, I think, says or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're gone. Yeah.
Grima Wormtongue also, by the way, from Game of Lord of the Rings.
There you go. Jesus, it goes on and on.
Yeah, he's a legend.
But that it was that she knows that to weaponize this, to mainstream it, and if it kills me, it can't be this. But I didn't feel she had that same drive because this time she was brought back with some sort of connection to them. And don't get me wrong, she's the protagonist and she ends up like taking on aliens and all that kind of stuff.
I don't even see her as the protagonist of this movie. I see Winona Ryder as the protagonist.
Yeah, see, it's not strange. That's what I mean. And I don't even know if it was written that way. That's my point. I think that's just might be your perspective of it.
Yeah.
And it's a very fair perspective of it. But that just tells that how, again, it felt like a Blade film. Yeah. They brought in a group of Marines. I don't know how these guys ended up to be in any way the good guys.
They're not Marines, they're pirates.
Pirates. And they end up bringing in like a bunch of fucking...
What they do is they hijack the ship. Your man, one of the survivors, the guy who ends up being the killer and bone collector, I think. But I can't remember his name. He's the guy that actually has...
Purvis or something like that.
Purvis. He has the blade dildo in... He has the knife dildo in 7. That guy. Like, he put a gun to my head, he told me to fuck her. You know, that guy.
Yeah.
But like, so he's going to a nickel mine or nickel factory. And what happened was Ron Perlman's crew hijacked him. That's a weird way to say that. They hijacked him and then they sold him to be experimented on. Because remember that scene where
and it was cool. It was
the pods in the circle.
It was kind of incubation pods, and there was an actual alien pod inside of it.
Yeah,
and it's just their head. Like they can't even reach out.
Yeah, that's horrible.
And it's horrible. And it was so fucking grotesque. And of course, this leads to aliens. We don't need to like fucking delve into that too much because we're in Aliens 4 now.
Yeah. But not only that, this is the first time a facility has been set up dedicated to breeding aliens. Because your man mentions we've got like 2 dozen or 12 more or some shit. Like remember after they kill a few. This is the major difference because this is the first time that the aliens are being reproduced on purpose by humans. Because in Hadley's Hope there were victims, and that's how there were so many of them, just because there were so many settlers. There was like over 200 people there or something, wasn't there? And like in the first one, it was just like it didn't reproduce because there was no queen, so there was no more eggs. So all it was doing was incubating people because that's its life cycle. It finds a part of a ship and it starts to make a nest. You know what I mean? And it pretty much keeps people there, keeps them alive until they can get more face huggers to reproduce. That's how it does. You know what I mean? But this is the first time that we've seen that an installation has been set up, and its focus on is experimenting in the reproduction of these xenomorphs because they want to use them as a biological weapon, for the bioweapons, by the weapons division, you know what I mean, like for whaling or whatever back in the day. But this is the difference, I think, because they purposely reproduce them. It's kind of like something akin to like a Jurassic Park. The danger is only there because we created it. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
And that's the difference between Alien Resurrection and the other ones, you know?
It never needed to happen in any sort of context.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but there was Gaiman or something was his name, the scientist who was kind of obsessed with him. But he had that button that released, I'm going to say hydrogen, whatever.
Or nitrogen.
Nitrogen, yeah, sorry.
Nitrous oxide or some shit.
Oxide.
Yeah.
And he was, they're quick learners and stuff like that. But he had this romantic, but I always thought...
It's so creepy.
Again, this film had enough cool scenes. Yeah. Kind of cool.
His name was...
he was the dude. He was in... Brad... He was in The Crow.
Gettyman.
No, that was the captain.
Gettyman. Brad Dourif. Yeah, the guy you're thinking of was Michael something. One sec. No, you keep going there and I'll look for names.
But he...
Michael Wincott.
But then when they decided there was 3 aliens in a cage, and 2 aliens kind of decided to turn on one and use his naturally corrosive blood to get out, and I thought,
Originally, I thought this was a mistake continuity-wise because they mentioned how the acidic blood calcifies eventually after the creature dies, and that's why the facehugger doesn't continue to burn through stuff after it dies. And I was looking at the scene. I
think the sheer amount before death.
Yeah, it burns through instantly, but not all the body does. And I was like, first I was like, oh, is that a continuity error? And then I couldn't figure it out because not all the body burns through, so maybe the rest of it calcified. But that initial impact of that constant burst of the two xenomorphs, like you said, killing the third weakest one, obviously, like a pack animal would, like, or whatever. And then that initial burst of like just guts pouring out, I think that would pour through. And the fact that the rest of the body didn't hold up continuity wise, I don't know, because this is the little shit I look for. Just shaking his head at me.
I never even thought of it. And then of course he goes in and it says, yeah, they've just escaped. They're probably like 10 feet away. Gonna have me a little looky down the hall.
Bad giraffe, yeah. He's like, it's like having a little pixie do.
And then again, this is another cool scene when they kind of run havoc on the ship and everyone starts. Like I loved when one of the aliens got into one of the escape pods.
Yeah,
and the Colonel lobs a grenade, and
the guy who played Al, didn't he, in Quantum Leap?
Exactly, the guy. And it lands in, and of course he blows the pod just as it gets out into space into Kingdom Come. But then he gets taken out. Like the deaths in this were spectacular. If you were to say what are the most spectacular deaths, you'd look at this film quite a few times. I loved my favorite way an alien was taken out. I loved the underwater scene where he shoots some sort of RPG kind of thing. Yeah. And the first alien manages to avoid it because it's been slowed down by the water. Yeah. But it takes out the second one. Yeah. And I just thought it was so cool.
Joner's his character's name, Ron Perlman. I love his name.
No, he was. Like, here's the thing. I thought he was so like he was hammy as fuck. Don't get me wrong. That was probably studio direction.
That's Ron Perlman though.
But that's Ron Perlman.
Remember, Ron Perlman is part of the Blood Pack in Blade 2. He hams up like a motherfucker.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like a motherfucker. But then he was such a good Hellboy. But he was hammy. But I thought it had so many fucking cool scenes looking back on it. Like, so again, it was like a Blade film.
Do you think it's a case of like we talk about that big word, expectations, constantly?
Yeah.
You think it's a case of like
when it's gone, like when expectations
it's completely gone.
Like when he hangs from the.
If you get any enjoyment out of a movie that you have zero expectations to get any enjoyment from, that enjoyment gets magnified.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
And in the same reverses, if you have high expectations for a movie that
absolutely fails,
it destroys you, like Spider-Man 3.
Because when he hangs from the ladder, paraplegic guy, and he's on the back of the CSI guy, Warwick Brown, and they end up reversing roles because he gets acid spat in his face, which we never knew Xenomorphs would do.
Can I say something? This scene made no sense to me, right? Because he could easily shake it off at any time. It was like barely a finger hanging onto his boot.
Yeah,
you know, and like in my mind, if I was to write that scene, I would have reversed it and had the guy who was paralyzed have the Xenomorph hang onto his foot, and he can't shake it off because he's paralyzed.
Yeah.
But the other guy wasn't paralyzed.
The other guy was gravely injured, but not paralyzed.
Yeah, and he was dodging bullets about 2 minutes before that, and then obviously he's incapacitated. Because remember, even Ron Perlman hangs back there.
Winona Ryder tries to kill Ripley 8, and they try to arrest the entire crew for a terroristic.
Yeah.
And those two dudes like just fucking kill 7 soldiers in that room, like fucking. Guns coming out.
Do you know the scene you're talking about there was like, because like remember, pretty much they go through the water, they're going up the oak and all that shit. Right before that, I want to add this in because it'll come back later on. Winona Ryder gets shot here and she falls into the water.
West or something.
Yeah,
like
by the
Ren.
Yeah, and then we see that scene you're talking about where Ron Perlman hangs backwards because the Xenomorph comes up out of the water.
And he shoots it right through. I loved it when he shot it right through the head and then its head exploded.
Yeah.
Again, like a Blade film. It was the horror aspect was gone.
Yeah,
100%. Gone.
100%.
100% murdered.
So do you think this is a case of overcorrection where Alien 1 we touched on is a science fiction horror thriller, right? Aliens 2 is a science fiction action thriller, all right? I think it's the better.
Fair.
Alien 3 is science fiction horror thriller, maybe.
Yeah.
And because they wanted to, what you touched on in the last part, is they wanted to kind of recapture that feeling of part 1.
I think they tried to make it fun.
Yeah, but you think this is because it's 1997.
Yeah,
and we get these over the top action movies. You're talking about like a Blade And even though like that, it's a horror, it's based in a horror landscape. It's kind of like rejected a lot of its horror tone as it goes along. It's more action.
Exactly.
Like in terms of like when you get to play 3 or something.
Agreed.
Do you think this is an overcorrection when you get to Alien Resurrection, that they're like, look at the tone of Aliens, that it's an all-out action movie in a lot of ways, but they forgot the Aliens has suspense. And
this film had no suspense.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No
like,
point.
It's an over.
It had when the guy that wasn't Crow. I confused earlier when Captain
Michael Wincott. I checked up his name.
Yeah, when he dies, and then they hide underneath his body, and when the alien comes back, because there's something a little bit like they make a sound or something, and they stick a gun out and they shoot the alien in the head, and you're like, you're having a bit too much like Western fun, you know? What I mean? Like it's almost like
Do you think it was a case that Jean-Paul Jeannot was like, in the way David Fincher was kind of like, I want to make Alien again? Jean-Paul Jeannot was like, I want to make Aliens again.
Yeah.
But like in the sense that Dave Fincher didn't miss the point, it was studio interference. That Jean-Paul Jeannot, whatever his name is, he missed the point completely in what Aliens made Alien special.
I don't know. It felt like what a game of Aliens would be like.
Yeah.
It would be, like a little bit of stealth, good weaponry. You are going to end up killing 300 aliens before you get to the Queen or whatever. It was that. Yeah, it was. They actually had like a build. It had like increasing levels of difficulty. Yeah. Characters getting killed off, so your crew was less, so the difficulty again was higher.
Yeah,
literally felt like a game.
Yeah,
and it literally felt like a game.
Like, and what did you think of the big difference in this? Obviously, of course, is Ripley's not just a clone, but we have a hybridized xenomorph human. Like, pretty much, all right, the two scenes I want to talk about.
Yeah, I suppose we haven't really touched upon the fact that Ripley is not Ripley now. Like, Ripley
is a clone of herself.
Is like at one point when she fights the pirates, one of them picks up. He must be pretty enhanced himself. He picks up a dumbbell, like he picks up an actual weight, and he hits her square in the face with it. So we're talking that he picks up low key 30 kilos, of metal, and he hits her right in the nose with it. She wipes it off, and she throws it on the ground, and she is cool. She's good to go, but she's superhuman to an almost
we see
superhero degree.
Yeah, and now we see the blood is acidic.
Her blood is acidic. Yeah. We see it with the knife too.
Yeah, the two big scenes I want to talk about before we wrap up Alien Resurrection, is Ripley finds the other experiments on board the ship. It's like the different. What do you make of
Ripley's 1 through 7?
Yeah. Well, maybe they're not even 1 through 7 because like I have a feeling that the perfect Ripley was created 7 times, like the perfect human version. I think she's the
really. I think
that kind of way. Like I have a feeling she's the 8th iteration. I don't know, maybe of overall Ripley's. I could be wrong
because it could be generations.
Yeah, but I think she is the 8th iteration of the human version of Ripley. You know, that kind of way, the one that actually looks like a human. But I could be wrong. Maybe you're right there.
I always think like in X-Men comics, for example, X-23. Which is the female Wolverine is the 23rd time they tried to and apparently
make Weapon X.
And I remember because the X before, like in the womb, we are XX chromosomes, and then we switched to an XY chromosome half of the time.
Yeah.
But the XX chromosome was easier to replicate. Yeah. So on the 23rd try, they tried for a female one, and it got them X23, and she was just simply the 23rd attempt.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's actually a really interesting because obviously money. They were talking about deep pockets.
Yeah.
They could have made humanoid Ripleys that were mentally defunct or physically defunct.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. And obviously,
because they mentioned like,
I'd argue that maybe even Fincher doesn't know. I'd argue it's like
Jean-Paul Jeannot did Resurrection.
Excuse me. Yeah. But I'd imagine that it's even a case of like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction.
Like, sorry, Jean-Pierre Jeannot. Fuck it, I've been getting his name wrong the whole show.
I'm sure that everyone is this.
Man, fucking hell, I forgot to tell you, Joss Whedon wrote this.
Oh, wow. Remember when he was allowed to do that?
What did you think of the differences? Like we see, I think you could be right. The more I think about it, maybe that was Ripley's 1 through 7 in that room,
and she got the 7. I think that was 7 that asked to be euthanized.
Yeah, it's such a big jump from that to Ripley 8. That's my thinking.
That's fair as well.
Yeah.
And that's just like the suspending of disbelief that they got there on 8. That was just a number, just to give you how far they.
Because if that's number 7, what did it do
Yeah, it's just big stretch.
It's such a big jump.
It's a huge jump.
You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
absolutely right. Yeah.
It's like you know, it's Sonny in iRobot. He's in NS4, but like I can totally believe it when I see an NS3. It's not such a big jump to Sonny.
And I think,
you know what I mean?
for example, my DNA right now would be an awful lot probably
NS5.
closer to. My DNA would probably be a lot closer to an Alsatian than it probably is to a super hybrid human being with acidic blood with a psychic connection to an alien species.
I just think
it's huge. Like
when you look at that lab, I think there might have been other iterations of maybe a more.
Agreed. No, agreed.
You know
Yeah. But no, I think that's open ended again. You know the suitcase in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
I don't think Quentin Tarantino knew what that was. In fact, that was the point. Everyone said it was Marcellus Wallace's soul because he had the plaster in the back of his neck and all this shit. And I love that. And I think it's like, I would even put it to you as a writer, it's kind of going like, why not? Like, why not have something and have the story work around it? But you don't absolutely need to spell out everything. And we were saying, you have said a few times, I hate being spoon-fed. I hate being spoon-fed.
Yeah, I prefer storyteller that respect.
Exactly. And that's it. She got into a room and so, like, it's gone. You wake up and it's 28 days later and it's all happening. You don't get to find out because your internet is gone, your TV is down, and you're one of the last survivors in the world. And I love that.
Does that happen before we find out Winona Ryder's an android? Or after? Is this after the water scene?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, either way, I'll agree with you.
It's going to, I'm going to say
but
yes.
like, what do you make of, so like, the reason I touched on that scene is like, we see the different hybridizations of the xenomorphs that they're trying to do in Resurrection, and now later on we see the nest sequence where Brad Dourif is like, still fucking got this massive hard on for xenomorphs, even though he's like covered in fucking goop and shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my beautiful girl, and shit like that. And
he's got such a resting creep face.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you he's the type of guy you go out for a pint and you just get a pot of tea.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious though when I watch Lord of the Rings. Like, I'm like, I know the king is under a spell, but if I'm not going to like trust any guy, it's that guy that plays Grima Wormtongue.
It's just like, nah. There's something wrong here. No, there isn't. It's like, you know what?
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think of the scene where we get the full hybridization of the xenomorph human combination where we see the queen? I don't know how he goes, she's perfect now. You gave her something.
Well, they were saying, like, again, it worked both ways because this was her queen. This is her child.
Yeah.
And it does make sense, like in the bullshit movie way, it makes sense.
But how
this wasn't Alien 3 Ripley. This was literally her DNA. This was her sweat or her blood, more than likely, and the genetic sequence was completely mixed.
Yeah.
And they brought it back from that. So obviously there was a little bit of her in the queen and a little bit of the queen in her, but to give her a basically human sex organ where she had like a womb.
Yeah, how is that beneficial though?
I don't get how semination happened.
Yeah,
I don't, you know what I mean?
I think they just grew her in the lab.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that. I think it was just the grew her.
And then this is when it just gets unforgivable. Again, I was watching this going, you know what? I'm enjoying the hell out of this, but that white alien coming out with the kind of human eyes, and then just literally, and we kind of have a thing here in Ireland where we say, box the head off him. What are you? Box the head off him. Box the head off of him is the thing we say. And I remember just watching the film and goes, oh my god, the hybrid box the head off him.
But what did you think of how is that beneficial to the queen to be only able to have one xenomorph at a time instead of being able to...
Although I don't know if that was one xenomorph at a time or another possibility of breeding on top of what was already possible, and the fella obviously
because he said your gift to her was a human reproductive system. And now she's perfect.
No, and it's not. It's absolutely not. And especially when this
yoke and lay when we see the aliens.
But even the alien itself, the hybrid alien, its strength was completely and totally immense. Like it was, you know what I mean? It was off the charts. In terms, you even remember the scene where it's alone with Winona Ryder and there's that kind of door is about to close, a big heavy metal kind of like spaceship door. And it just grabs it, or it's trying to open it. He just grabs it and just shuts it.
Yeah,
it's immensely strong. I get that, but at the same time, if I have a weapon, I want the strong, slow one.
What do you make of the design of the human xenomorph hybrid?
Everything about it was stupid. Everything about it was stupid.
It looked to me like something that would just die instantly.
Well, here's again, when you're making a film, you're kind of going like, you play a character and thinking, I think you did a good job there. And then I'm sure it happens to actors all of the time. You see it and go, wow, I honestly don't feel like this was the film that we were shooting. But sometimes, again, you're filming in front of a green screen or something. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know. You can't possibly know. But how did anyone look at this and went, nailed it?
Well, man, like, I don't know, did I say to you before we were recording or on the recording where the director was like, do you know the way they kept saying to you, they did the introduction? The director was like, yeah, they asked me if I wanted to do a director's cut, but no, I looked back at this movie and I was pretty happy with it. So I'm pretty sure he's seen that xenomorph hybrid and he's like, nailed it.
Fucking nailed it.
Yeah, and then that's a wrap, guys. That's our gate. Go to gate.
And then, as you said, I'm not sure, I think you did say it in the last podcast, and I'm just going to reiterate that we're 4 movies in and 3 of them died in the vacuum of space.
Yeah.
One of them died getting sucked out into space, as in through a very small hole.
Yeah.
As in death had already happened. But I'm counting it. And one was killed by molten lead that was suddenly cooled down and exploded. That's different.
Yeah. That's the only one that's different.
I'll give it. There's nothing I can say about that. First one, jettisoned into space, blown up in the thruster, but jettisoned into space. Second one, jettisoned into space, just to fall through the abyss forever. And then the third one, again, blown up by cooling hot lead that had been poured on it. And then the fourth one, tiny little hole. So it died from the decompression, but jettisoned into space.
Yeah, and like the guts get pulled out of it like a motherfucker.
Yeah. And then the skull, the weird special effects for the skull bit at the end were so unnecessary.
And they're like trying to give you human eyes to make it sympathize with it.
Yeah,
because like the other xenomorph has no eyes,
Yeah, and I know. I'm sorry. It was just. It was just such a stupid. I could forget it because again, when I had the thought, and I know I've said it 80 times, and I apologise, but when the word blade appeared in my head, probably Ron Perlman. When the word blade appeared in my head, suddenly the film took on a different feel because it had some really awesome. Thank you. It had some really, really awesome scenes. As in, I loved when the aliens started running amok on the ship. Yeah. And one got in the escape pod. I thought that was cool. And then that guy's killed instantly. Yeah. I thought when they escaped from the jail cell, it was fucking absolutely excellent.
I just think the problem with Alien Resurrection and the difference and the reason why people look at it more sourly than Alien 3, even though Alien 3 technically is not a great movie, is the fact that it has zero class.
Excellently said.
You know what I mean, though?
No. It had no gravity.
Yeah, nothing to it at all.
Nothing to it at all.
No real redeeming qualities.
No.
Except the only thing I would say is the xenomorph looked excellent in it.
Yes.
And the return to the silver teeth.
And again, like scenes, another scene, underwater scene at top, spectacular. Loved it. But like, this is what I mean. This is what Blade is. Like the first. I really enjoyed the first 2 Blades actually, so I'm not going to shit.
Yeah, Blade 3's
Blade 3's an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
But like I love Blade, but that to be fair, that's what Blade should be.
Yeah. Blade
was what Blade should be. This wasn't what Alien should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You are from. Fair enough. I know it jumped genres a few times, but for me, I would if I got my hands in this in 1997 or again, I keep going to hypotheticals, but I'm just saying I would think like, okay, don't forget that. Yeah. This is like sci-fi just means future. Yeah. I know it's a genre, but sci-fi just means future.
Yeah. Or
so
space.
It's a horror film based in the future.
Yeah.
Horror film based in the future. And that didn't capture a lick of that.
Yeah, and if you want to lean action, you have to maintain some sort of subtlety and suspense of the original genre that it came from, which is horror.
Because I love some of this. You remember just after the guy gets pulled down the hole that the aliens escape through, and then this other soldier comes in and an alien comes down the other side and hits the red button that they've been using to keep them at bay, the nitrous or the nitrogen, and it just freezes him and he starts to peel and stuff like spectacular, and his arm breaks, the arm he was holding his gun in. I was like, that just reminds me of Jason X, where he dips you one's head and
style over substance stuff.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
but I was like, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. Cool is many, many, many things. That's not the type of cool I'm here for.
Yeah,
aliens are dark, scary predators that are so monolithic in their approach to what they do that they are terrifying.
Yeah,
and this just made them kind of like. I'm not going to say it made them goofy. I think the goofiness was built around them.
Made them more of a popcorn villain.
Yeah, a popcorn villain. Because they killed, I don't know, I think, I'm going to say over 30 people died in this film.
Oh, I say so.
And not just like the blowing up of pods. I mean,
Yeah.
I think a good 30 people were actually
give or
killed
take.
on camera in this film. So it was plenty, and I loved that. But I think probably like an almost similar amount of aliens. I mean, they were getting taken out for sport as well.
Yeah.
It was just like us versus... So me versus an alien, 50-50.
So before we go to the next break and then we'll come back with Prometheus and Covenant, Alien Covenant.
We have to.
What is your final thoughts on Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection?
Alien 3 was a missed opportunity. Alien Resurrection was unnecessary.
Yeah.
And if you wanted... There, I could go into it a little bit more, but I kind of... Be honest with you, I quite like to just... You know what, there. If you were to put me absolutely on the line and say, give it to me in 2 or 3 words, I would say Alien 3, kind of, I get it, they wanted to round it out, trilogies are a thing.
Yeah.
I think it was a missed opportunity, because I don't think everything about it was wrong.
Yeah.
I think, like, you know, dumb it down, sorry, not dumb it down, I take back those words, but scale it back.
Yeah.
And say, let's have the kind of the feel of the first one, but let's make it even more dangerous.
Yeah.
And let's have more victims, let's have more,
body count higher, stakes higher.
and people she doesn't trust, as opposed to a crew that she'd fight and die for. So I think missed opportunity. I just don't think it was executed well. And 4 was, you know what, it was just, apparently it was just illegal to make films that didn't look like that in 1987. It was just illegal.
Yeah, for me, I'm the same as you. Part 3 is a missed opportunity, and Part 4 is just the director didn't get it.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, that kind of way. I just think he didn't understand the
It does,
franchise.
but it was like Blade, but Blade was supposed to be Blade. That's all I can say about it, you know.
But so is that all your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm good, man.
Yeah, all right, cool. All right, so this is Invasion of Body Snatchers. This has been an epic episode. Right, we're looking at franchise Fridays. It's well, this is I was going to say, like, we're on Fridays. We're mostly on Fridays. Mostly.
We're mostly on Fridays. Mostly.
But so Noel, we're going to take another quick break and we're going to come back and wrap this motherfucker up with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. It's been the longest episode we've ever done here in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And so we'll see you after the break, folks. I'm your host, Vincent Green. He's your host,
Noel John Toohey, and thanks for being with us.
And we'll see you after break, folks. And now another word from our sponsors.
No, I always think like I will blow a dude fucking drunk when I'm on bud.